सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम अखंडमंडलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। सरस्वति नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे। सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रयविनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। Hari Om to everyone else. Today we will start from Sutra or Aphorism 3. Amrita Swarupacha Amrita Swarupacha Amrita Swarupa Cha. Swarupa is the word, as Bhakti is Strilinga, Ikaranta. That is why Amrita Swarupa. Sa Bhakti Amrita Swarupa. That Bhakti, what we were discussing about, is Amrita Swarupa. Now the thing is, what is Amrita Swarupa? Avinashi. Amrita Swarupa means Avinashi, which is not perishable like others. What is Avinashi? What is indestructible? Which is indestructible? That is Avinashi. Avinashwar is the same thing, and unchangeable, aparivartaniya. Amrita Swarupa means aparivartaniya, unchangeable, imperishable, indestructible. So, we have discussed only two sutras. First sutra described about the description of the subject matter and the chronology. Second sutra, second aphorism has given us the definition of bhakti or divine love or supreme love. That this third sutra is the continuation of second sutra. So, here it is discussed that bhakti or devotion to the Lord is such an entity which is imperishable, akshaya, akshara, and जिनका विनाश नहीं है, indestructible, and Amrita Swarupa, which is immortal by nature. The word prem or love has many meanings. In many sense, we use this particular word prem or love. In common view, in worldly view, generally what we understand love, the divine love, is not like that. Some similarities are there, of course. That is why in second sutra we got thing where tasmin parama prema rupa, like parama prema. But the differences are massive. So the thing is why they are different, because divine love is beyond our realization, beyond our any sorts of feelings and everything else. Our worldly love is confined with body and senses. Our worldly love is confined with body and senses. But Divya Prem or divine love is beyond the subject matter of body and senses. It is Dehandriya Atita Prema. Dehendriya Atita Prema. The thing is, divine love or devotion or bhakti is not only absolute love, it is also immortal love. There is no death of this love. There is no end of this love. In worldly love, there is a starting point and there is an ending point. But if the divine love we can realize, we can understand inside, there is no end. There is no sinusoidal wave. It's a straight, without any ripple, and continuous in a same form. So, and another difference with the worldly love is, in worldly love, we are not always conscious. But divine love is the product of our constant consciousness. Now the thing is why this is. Because in worldly love, who loves, whom loves, and the love both are limited by the time, space, and causations. Premik, premaspada, and prema are not kalatita. They are under the spell of Desha Kala Vastu Paricheda, limited by the time, space, and causation. So, that is the main difference with the worldly love and divine love. Worldly love never can be an immortal love. But divine love is always immortal, timeless, and its intensity, its longevity, its its qualitative index are always more in higher scale than worldly love. In world, if something comes in our life from outside, we feel love. Someone comes in our life, we feel love for that person. And we have seen in many causes that person remains, but the love goes. Or the love remains little bit, person goes. And as the time passes, the person along with the love towards the person are getting faded off. But the divine love never depends on any external entity. In Bengali, there is a very beautiful song. The first line is, আমার আপনার চেয়ে আপন যে জন খোঁজে আমি তারে আপনা আমি শুনি যেন তার চরণের ধ্বনি আমারও কে আসে বাসনা আমার আপনার থেকে আপনার যেজন খুঁজি তারে আমি আপনার who is beloved, who is the most beloved than any other beloved thing that resides inside me. It is not an external factor which to be loved. Love is our intrinsic nature. Love is our swarupa. Mirabai says in her famous bhajan, हर हर में है हर बसे, हर हर में है हर बसे, हर हर को हर की आस, हर हर में है हर बसे, हर हर को हर की आस, हर को हर हर ढूंढ फिरी, को हर हर ढूंढ फिरी, और हर है मेरे पास. So what we are finding outside, if knowledge comes, if the real guide comes in our life, we will find that our lovable one is not any external thing. It is an internal factor. It is an internal factor. The real devotee never think that anything else may be external. Most beloved one resides within me. That intrinsic nature and swarupa, when sadrisha or similes we are discussing, we saw that in worldly love also we get some glimpse of the supreme love. But a lot of differences are also, that also we have seen. The thing is, in worldly love, how much we try, there is an end. Either the loved one goes, or who loves, he or she goes. So, their premik and premaspada anytime may arise. Lover or the loved one, anytime they can arise, and any time they may be sublimed. In supreme love or in divine love, he is confident that I am devotee. Who loves that imperishable one, he becomes imperishable. In Chandogya Upanishad, we get the famous mantra, Brahmavid Brahmaiva Bhavati. The knower of Brahman becomes Brahman. The lover, the real lover of that immortal being becomes immortal. Means there is no becoming. He or she realizes that I am that immortal. So, when the philosophy starts, then Upanishad, non-dual philosophy is very clear that there is only one entity. But in dual philosophy, it starts with duality. That my loving one and me. But whenever that knowledge, that supreme love is gained inside, we feel that there is only one. So there is no conflict between bhakti and jnana. If there is any conflict, it is in the starting point, but not in the end. So, in this divine love, premik, premaspada, prem, the loving one, who is loving, and the love, those holy trio are really Satyam, the imperishable truth, Avinashi, eternal, Amar, Nitya. Worldly love may be very deeper. When we work with the common people, when they get hurt in their love affair or anything else, they sometimes tell, Swamiji, you don't know how deeply I used to love her or I used to love him. How deeper was our love? As much deeper it may be. It can touch the divine love. Divine love is infinite, where you can touch its end. In another thing, that some people says, जागतिक प्रेम को मोड़ घुमा दो. Yes, means just shift the motive of the worldly love into divine love. In the starting point of our spiritual practice or starting point of our divine love practice, it may be the first step that we have to try. But lastly, we have to understand divine love is not the resultant of our trying. It is self-effulgent. It is Swata Prakash. There is no stress of trying or struggling. When the love or bhakti or devotion becomes matured for that bhakta, there is no vidhi, no nishedha. No rules are applied for that divine lover or devotee. So, this is the impact of third sutra. Now, what will happen if we gain that divine love? That we will see in the fourth sutra. So, let's fourth sutra. यल्लब्ध्वा पुमान् सिद्धो भवति यल्लब्ध्वा पुमान् सिद्धो भवति अमृतो भवति अमृतो भवति तृप्तो भवति तृप्तो भवति. So the fourth aphorism or sutra is telling yat labdhva puman siddhah bhavati amritah bhavati triptah bhavati. After applying the sandhi rule, the sutra becomes यल्लब्ध्वा पुमान् सिद्धो भवति अमृतो भवति तृप्तो भवति. यत्, that vastu, that entity, labdhva, having gained that entity, लाभ करके, पुमान means Purusha. Purusha, literal meaning is male body. But this scripture has no gender division. So here Purusha means Purishayanat iti Purusha. That divine one, that divine lover, that divine devotee. So, after having gained this divine love inside, what happened to that devotee? He or she siddhah bhavati. He or she becomes complete. It's not like that any other textile company does a complete man. It's not that without wearing that textile we will be incomplete. It's not like that. It is siddhah bhavati. I will explain what is that siddhah bhavati. Means he or she becomes, feels that I am a complete man and woman. Amritah bhavati, becomes immortal. Oh, and triptah bhavati, becomes fully content. Becomes fully content. Now, what is siddhah bhavati? Siddhi, in literal meaning, and the bona fide master, and who lives his or her life according to it, it is a common factor. It's a byproduct of the spiritual practice that some occult power comes. Yes, it comes. Various types of occult power comes. But in Bhakti Grantha or in this text, here Siddha means not in the sense of gaining any occult power. Because in common man's idea, they enter into the spiritual life or they try to meet with the spiritual life, they meet sadhus to see their miracle. They also want to gain some miraculous power, some occult power, by whom they can surprise the people. Once, Sri Ramakrishna told Narendranath, means Swami Vivekananda, that see, in whole life I have done spiritual practices and I have gained a lot of occult power. Now my time to depart. So I want to pass it to you. Then and there Narendranath asked, what will happen with those power? Can I realize God? Sri Ramakrishna then and there told, no. But तुम कुछ चमत्कार दिखा सकते हो. You can show people some miracles. A lot of people will come to you to see that miracles. Then and there Narendranath protested that if I want to show any miracle, then I will show by my own. Give me something else by which I will be mortal. Give me something else by which I can gain that supreme knowledge. That should be the attitude of a spiritual seeker. That should be an attitude of a real devotee who doesn't want any sorts of occult power or siddhis in their spiritual life. Because in Jesus Christ's life, in other Mahatma's life, great people's life, we see the expression of their occult power, but they never encouraged their devotee or people to go into that. They always encouraged people to go to the deeper studies or deeper spiritual practice to realize the truth. In Dakshineshwar, Sri Ramakrishna was sitting. One person came and asked Sri Ramakrishna, what you have done throughout your life by calling mother, mother, mother and doing all such tapasya? Can you cross the river on foot? Sri Ramakrishna told, no. That person told, just now I saw a person. He has done not too much sadhana or spiritual practice like you, but he was walking on the Ganga on foot. And what you have done? Sri Ramakrishna told, in 25 paisa I can cross the river. For that, why should I do spiritual practices? So, in that Mahatma's life, in that great people's life, are the inspiration of us in our spiritual life. That what we have to do, how our progression, how our intention will be, what will be our aim, what will be our goal, what will be our path of the spiritual practice. The thing is, Sri Ramakrishna is telling, it is told in Yoga Sutra that Ashtasiddhis Ullekha is there. In Yoga Sutra, it is mentioned that how that 8 occult power comes. But Sri Ramakrishna proclaimed with a definite conviction that if a slightest part of that occult power, any one of that 8 remains in sadhaka, means the vasana to express, the desire to express, the supreme love cannot be realized. So if it comes to in your life also, because it is very common in serious spiritual practice, that occult power comes, please condemn it, reject them as poison. Now the thing is, but in real life, people want to gain that divine power, that they want to cure, and they come with they have some excuses that I want to cure the disease. Is it not a social work, Swamiji? Is it not a seva? Is it not the service to the society? I will not answer. I have answered a lot. You think. In Mumbai, there was a sadhu, and his ashram was very big. Since morning, there was a big queue of the very costly cars, A lot of people used to come because he had the occult power. You know why people used to come to him? To know what horse will win the race today. In the horse race, what horse will win tonight or this evening, people used to go to that sadhu to know, because they are the gambler. So is this the aim of the spiritual life? Of course not. With that occult power, there is no relationship with the supreme love or bhakti. We can't really understand who is a real devotee. And we don't know what to ask from a sadhu, from a Mahatma, or from Lord. We really don't know. Sometimes we ask, and through asking, we ask some worldly things, and by asking that worldly things, we express our mudhata, our stupidity. In Sutra, it is there, Siddhaha Bhavati. That Siddhi word is Adarsh ka charitarthata. The complete contentment, the completeness of the ideals. What is that? That is nothing but being one with the loving, beloved God. That is the only siddhi. And that purpose has been solved to such a person. He has really gained that supreme love. He is a complete man, Purna Manava. What is that Purnata? What is that completeness? That completeness is a sense of completeness which comes from the divine love, which comes from the divine love, not from any other wealth in this world. That completeness means going beyond any limitations, going beyond any limitations. Because when we love, really love that limitless God, that beloved God, as Brahmavid, Brahmaiva Bhavati, the lover of the limitless Lord becomes limitless. His love becomes limitless. He becomes limitless. The second lakshana or attribute of the, because in this sutra number 4 is the attribute of divine love. That what happens if a person gains the divine love? The first one we saw, Siddha Bhavati. The second attribute is Amrita Bhavati. Now the question is, Amrita Bhavati means he or she becomes immortal. When we know that where Lord Krishna's body died, Lord Rama's body died, Jesus Christ's body died, Muhammad's body died, Ramakrishna, Ramana Maharshi, Swami Chinmayanandaji's body died, then how Narada claims that the person becomes immortal? Are those people not immortal? The thing is, Panchabhautika Manava, the people of this world made of the 5 gross element, Pancha Tattva के बना हुआ मानव, to them immortality means the eternal presence of the mortal thing. Or if someone thinks, okay, this body, this very body will depart, but in the sukshma form, in the subtle form, I will be immortal in the heaven. But that concept of immortality is nothing but the imagination, the mythological imagination. But here, what is immortality? From whose life all the desires have gone, for whom death is a game. I met a person few days back. I knew him since last 41 years, and he left his mortal body just 1 month back. He was hospitalized for 2 months. In hospital also, he didn't complain about anything else. When doctor asked for you, he told, I am fine, absolutely fine. And what is your problem? He told, I have no problem. Even the day he left his mortal body, when he was in the partial ventilator, he was asked, how are you? He blinked his eyes. Just when he left his mortal body, just 4 days back, his younger son asked him, do you know that death has come in front of you? And he replied, yes, I know. He asked, are you ready for that? He proclaimed, yes, of course, for a long time. I'm waiting for that. He asked, his younger son asked, do you have any desire? He told, no. For a long time, by the grace of Lord, I have no worldly desire. Mother is coming. Holy Mother is coming to receive me. I am waiting for that auspicious moment. That is the lakshana or attribute of a real devotee. It's the matter of practice, not the matter of preaching. So that immortality, because mrityu or death means the death of desire. Death means death of desire. Death of ahamkara or ego. The person who are alive but whose ego has died, he is immortal. Who has no worldly desires, he is immortal. In this text, this immortality has been described. He is not at all afraid of death. You know, when we do like this, our eyes blink, starts blinking because of fear. And science says the ultimate fear is the fear of death. And because of that, that reflex comes. The person who has won over the fear of death, he has become immortal while he is living. Here in this text, in this sutra, in this aphorism, that immortality has been described. Because bodily immortality is not possible. Why? Which is utpadyam. What has been created, what has come into being, it will go. It will be perished in time. Yat utpadyam tad jaram tad maranashilam. So that is the nyaya. The devotee, he has no desire for his body and the body related desires desire for pleasure, desire for name, fame, lust, everything goes. That is real immortality. Once Ramakrishna asked Narendranath that suppose if you are a fly or bees and there is an earthen pot and it is filled with nectar, how we will drink the nectar? Swami Vivekananda or Narendranath told, I will sit on the bank of the earthen pot and I will sip the nectar. Then Sri Ramakrishna asked, why will you not go into the middle of the pot and drink? Then Narendranath told, why? I will die. Sri Ramakrishna told, no, no, my child, you will be immortal because this is the ocean of nectar, ocean of immortality. Who dips into it, he or she becomes immortal. Who has got the taste of immortality in this life, very life, they become immortal. What about we get out of doing anything else? कर्म करने से जो उत्पन्न होता है उसका विनाश भी होता है. What we get after striving a lot, that is perishable. But love is not the product of our striving or trying. So it is not product of anything else. That is why it is not perishable. The thing is, what is it? It is Anandam, Anandam and Anandam. This is the supreme bliss, supreme bliss, supreme bliss. From supreme bliss it has come. In supreme bliss it stays. In supreme bliss it goes. Means there is only one supreme bliss. In Taittiriya Upanishad 3.6 it is there. आनंदाध्येव खल्विमानि भूतानि जायन्ते आनंदेन जातानि जीवन्ति आनंदं प्रयन्त्यभिसंविशन्ति. That ananda, that supreme bliss is nothing but the supreme love or the supreme Brahman. Our worldly love, worldly happiness differs with the time. Maybe a person is very happy in his waking time, but very sad when he dreams. Or in his real life is very sad, but in his dream he is sad. But in Susupti, the Sushupti of human being, the Sushupti of animal, the Susupti of divine beings or devatas are same. And that is the glimpse of that supreme bliss. But always know that is also jada or perishable things. Because what comes and goes, that is perishable. So what is the imperishable amongst these three stages? The knower of my waking state, the knower of my dream state, the knower of my deep sleep state is that real devotee, is that real love, is that supreme Brahman. And whoever gets the taste of that supreme love, he never goes or runs after the worldly things. And the third one was tripto bhavati. The devotee becomes tripta, content. Content means he is free from any sorts of vasanas or desire. Who is having the vasanas or desire for having a little bit of laddu or sandesh or marshmallow, he can't be completely content. It is not possible. Whenever our vasana or desire is there, the real contentment can't come. In Bhagavad Gita, 6th chapter, 22nd sloka, Bhagavan is telling, Yam labdva cha param labham manyate nadhikam tatah. Having gained that supreme taste of the supreme being, people becomes immortal. He has no desire for getting anything else. The slightest desires of also gone. That is why in this aphorism it is told that tripto bhavati. First comes the feeling of contentment, the feeling of eternity, and this eternity is not momentary eternity, the eternity forever. And after having gained all those quality, if I am not content, then what is the use of that? So having gained this supreme love, the taste of supreme love, the devotees become completely content. Tripto bhavati. What is the example? Why a burning wooden block gives us heat? Because it is burning from inside and outside. Why a slab of ice gives us coldness, coolness? Because it is cold from inside and outside. Likewise, the sadhus, the mahatmas, the great sages, the great spiritual practitioners who really has got the taste of this supreme love, who are established and merged into that ocean of love, they reflects their completeness, their eternity, their contentment, their peace, their happiness amongst the devotees who come to them. Wherever the Mahatmas we go, our turbulent mind becomes suddenly blank, as if nothing happened, and we feel the sense of contentment. Hari Om Tat Sat. We will take little names of holy names. Sri Krishna Sharanam Mama, 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 Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Sharanam Mama. Sharanam Mama. I'm asking you, if anyone has any question, please ask.
But I told you that, look, this is what Satya has complained about, and I've also shown you the state plan and the plan of subdivision.
Is it Banirji from Australia? Is it Banirji from Australia?
এটি ক্লাস হতে দেখো যেরকম তোমার তখনকার ক্লাস হয় সেটা একটা আশ্রমে ক্লাস হয় আমি ক্লাস করে দিয়েছি ফোনে
Banirji.
চলে ক্লাস
Banirji.
Okay.
Banirji, please ask me. Banirji, please ask me.
Don't you have internet on your phone?
Yes. Please ask. I have unmuted you. Please ask.
Yep.
Okay, anyone else?
No, you run through. You wait. You run through with him. He will.
Okay.
You run through with him.
Okay. And anyone else? Anyone else has any question? Please ask.
Hariom Swamiji.
Yes, Bhavna.
Why can't
Yes.
you see the? Why can't you see it on his mobile phone?
स्वामी जी
Yes.
स्वामी जी आप ना क्वेश्चन पूछेगा tell him unmute him otherwise making a lot of noise we can't hear anything
Okay.
unmute everyone those who want to ask a question let them unmute themselves
Okay. Yes, Bhavna, you were supposed to ask something else. Please ask.
Yes, Swamiji. So, Swamiji, my question is that if, for householders, if they have, intense desire to go and be a part, renunciate the word, be a sannyasi, because of some responsibilities, they are not able to do that. Is it because of, their past karmas, or only when they are able to exhaust them, they will be able to, take that path? That is
You
my
please
question.
ask me in Hindi. Please, Bhavna. Please ask me in Hindi.
ठीक है समझ हाँ जी
हम्म।
मतलब मेरे को पूछना ये है कि जैसे जो गृहस्थ है उनको अगर सन्यास उनकी बहुत प्रबल इच्छा है मन में कि उनको सन्यास लेना है लेकिन किसी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी की वजह से उनको लगता है कि वो अभी ले नहीं सकते हैं तो मतलब कि इज इट क्या वो उनके कर्मों जो पिछले कर्म है वो उनको जब पूरा क्या बोलते हैं खत्म मेरे को क्वेश्चन में पूछना नहीं आ रहा है तो अगर उनको
Okay, I
खत्म
got
कर
it.
पाएंगे तभी वो ये वाला
Yes.
जो पाथ है वो ले सकते हैं या ये कैसे
Yes, I got it. Anything else, or I'll start answering? Okay.
now
The-
if you have anything around.
Okay. The thing is, first you told that Sansari doesn't sound, Sansari or household people doesn't mean who lives in sansar or who lives in house. He is a householder. In which house resides, he is a householder. जिनके मन में संसार वास करते हैं वही संसारी है. संसार को छोड़ के तुम जाओगे कहां? संसरति इति संसारः, which is constantly getting changed. That is called samsara. So the whole world is nothing but samsara. It is our misconception. It is our own creation. It is our own superimposition that our family is samsara. First thing. So you asked me that how a samsari person will get the taste of real dispassion when he will take the formal sannyasa or not, as I understood. Then you have to understand what is sannyasa. You know, in Sanskrit, everything has many meanings. Like sannyasa means samyak rupena nyasah iti sannyasah. You know, being dispassionate from each and everything in this world. There is no subtle dispassion. That is the real impact of this word sannyasa. For that, this color is not necessary. For that, jungle or any hermitage or ashram is not necessary. Real sannyasa, the concept of sannyasa remains in our mind, in our thought process, in our thinking. If a person renounced the whole world, renounced his house, families, all belongings, but still attached with his chair, with his underwear he wears, means kaupina, with all the things in the ashram, he is a ghora sansari with the dress of this orange clothes. But the grihastha who lives in the house but completely renounced from within, he is more than a sannyasi. So, how a person is capable to be a sannyasi, to get the taste of this supreme love? The answer is in Varanam. How are you choosing your life? In Kathopanishad, you find in mantra that Vivrinute tena lavya. How Nachikesa has chooses, how we choose our life, that guides us in the path of our life. Yes, without being a real sannyasi, to get the complete taste of this complete love is not possible. But it doesn't mean that you have to leave your all belongings, your home, all parents and everything else physically. You have to leave everything and everyone else mentally. Sant Jnaneshwara, Sant Tukaram, Sri Ramakrishna, even Ramana Maharshi also used to live with their mother. Mother is the part of the samsara. But having a knowledge that everything is temporary, neither I belong to them nor they belong to me, that systematic thought process makes a person real sannyasi while living at home. And that sannyasi is a real spiritual seeker, and Bhagavan has proclaimed, has promised that they will get the taste of that supreme love, that supreme nectar. Hari Om.
Got it, Swamiji. Thank you.
Very nice, Swamiji. Thank you. Hari Om.
Hari Om. So
Hari
I'm
Om.
finishing the class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. We will meet tomorrow.
Thank you, Swami. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Thank you,
Pranam,
Swamiji.
Guruji.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.